What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about protein bars. The confusing aisle of bajillions and bajillions of options. It seems like there's a different protein bar for different kinds of people, for kids, for moms, for dads, for muscle builders, for women, for if you want to lose fat, if you want to, all these different options. And so I can see how confusing it can be. So today I'm going to break down just a very small handful of protein bars, but I'm going to give you the tips on how to choose the correct protein bar for your goals. So we're going to start with what to look for on the nutrition label. You'll look first of all at the calories. I also want you to take a look at the carbs, the fats, and the proteins. You want to make sure and have a good balance between all three of those. So you want to make sure that the protein is enough protein to make it worth what the carbs and fats are going to be, right? So protein bars should typically have at least 15 grams of protein per bar. If it doesn't have at least 15 grams, it's probably not as nutritionally beneficial for you, and the calories may not be worth it because it's going to be a lot more carbs and fats. So in order to be like a protein bar, it really should have at least 15 grams of protein. So make sure to check that out. As far as carbs and fats go, it really just depends on what your goals are. If you're eating a little more fats, then it can have more fats in it because it's gonna balance you out. If you're having more carbs than you are fats, then you wanna make sure and pay attention to that too. You're allowed a little bit more carbs in that protein bar than you would fats. So make sure and have a good balance between those. Typically, when I'm looking for a protein bar, I look for one that's, again, over 15 grams of protein. Carbs, I like to see at least 20 grams. I eat a lot of carbs. That's just how my body reacts. That's how my body likes to function, is with lots of carbs. So I always choose one that has more than 20 grams of carbs. And then fats, I actually don't have a ton of fats in my diet. I usually aim for 60 a day. Everyone should have their own macros, but that's just to give you an idea on a gal my size and what I eat in a day, 60 grams. And so my protein bars can't be packed full of fats because I'm gonna run out quickly. And especially when it's just a snack, I don't wanna use all my macros for a protein bar. I wanna make sure that I'm getting my food from actual food and not these. Protein bars are perfect for when you're on the go and you need a snack and they're just kind of in between the meals. Perfect. Go ahead and have a protein bar. But if you're depending on these guys to get you through the entire day, you're doing it wrong. So let's talk about a few of these. I grabbed some that are usually pretty popular, or that have been around for a while, and I have a couple of newer ones also, so you can kind of know what those are looking like. So this first one I have is called One Bar, and this one has been around for a while, and I know a lot of people like it. The macros are pretty good. It's 23 carbs, 9 fats, and then it has the 20 grams of protein. So this is a high protein bar. It's great. It does have, another thing you want to look for would be fiber and sugar. That's the other thing. Once we figure out the macros, they're good. They're pretty good. Then we're going to look at the fiber and we're going to look at the sugars because those matter. Fiber, you do want to have fiber in your protein bar because then you know that you're getting a little bit more of those macronutrients. And then sugars, you want to have a lower amount of sugars, obviously. And then where are the sugars coming from? Are they naturally occurring sugars or are they added sugars? Added sugars would be less beneficial than naturally occurring sugars. And then there's also this sneaky little thing that they put in there called sugar alcohols. Sugar alcohols are artificial sugar. They're not necessarily terrible for you. However, they can cause some GI upset. So if you notice that your tummy starts to feel a little yucky or you get bloated after a protein bar, it might be because of the sugar alcohols. So keep an eye on that. Typically, I like to see them below 5. If they're above that, I'll definitely have GI upset. Some people it doesn't bother, and if it doesn't, then go right ahead. This guy has 8 grams of fiber. perfect. 8 grams of fiber. We can all use more fiber, so don't let that scare you. It has 4 sugar alcohols, so not terrible. And then 1 gram of sugar, which is awesome, and no added sugars. So all the sugar in this bar is coming from artificial sources. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna open it for you so you can see what they look like and so you can see the texture, because that's another huge thing with protein bars, is the texture can be super weird sometimes. So it's chocolate coated, and this is what the inside looks like. Not bad. It looks super yummy. I don't eat these because they make my stomach upset. Every time I have a 1 bar, I know exactly that I had a 1 bar because I all of a sudden developed this little pooch right here and it's uncomfortable. So 1 bars just don't agree with me, but I know a lot of people like them. So I think they're worth a try if you haven't had one before. The next one I'm going to talk about is Quest bars. These guys have been around forever. I feel like they were like the OGs of protein bars. This is my favorite flavor, oatmeal chocolate chip. It has a little bit better texture than some of them, I think, and it has a really good flavor. And then these guys come in at 7 grams of fat, 23 carbs, and 20 protein. The fiber is at 16. That's a lot of fiber. If you have trouble with a lot of fiber in 1 bar, that's going to be a lot for you and you're going to have a GI upset. So keep that in mind. For whatever reason, these guys don't bother me too bad. My stomach is usually okay with fibers, but artificial sugars it's not always okay with. There's a ton of different flavor options with Quest bars too. They've been around forever, so there's tons of options there. This one has a little bit different texture. It's a little chewier. It has that proteiny, I guess just texture to it. So some people don't love the texture of Quest bars, I'll be honest. I've gotten past it. I remember the first time I had a Quest bar, I was like, oh, what is this? It's so gross. I was like, I'm never eating this again. But it's an acquired taste. It doesn't bother me anymore. I do like them. I think they taste good. So take it with a grain of salt. I like that one. I also like the chocolate or the donut one. I think there's a glazed donut one or something like that. I like those two. And then the s'mores and cookie dough. The other ones I don't particularly love. So if I'm going to have a Quest bar, those are usually the flavors that I have. Okay, next I'm going to talk about True Women. This is a newer one, I believe. At least it's new to me. The good thing about this one is there's very minimal ingredients. There's only about 8 ingredients in here, which is amazing for a protein bar. Sometimes when you flip it over, the list is like that long. That's kind of a red flag that it's not a great bar. So it's got a bunch of fillers in it. It's got a bunch of artificial things. It's just not going to benefit you. So this one I do like because it just has a few ingredients in it. The macros are 9 fat, 24 carbs, and 12 protein. So not a lot of protein in here. However, there is no whey protein powder. So that would be the reason why. So you kind of know where your food is coming from when you're looking at your protein content too. The first ingredient here is cassava flour. So it is more of a grain-based protein bar, lower protein. So just keep that in mind when you're eating the rest of your food that day, that this isn't a protein dense food and you're gonna need to make up for it elsewhere, okay? This one is flavored Smother Fudger Peanut Butter. I haven't tried this flavor, so I can't speak to it, but I did have this Salty-licious earlier this week, and it was really good. I had nothing bad to say about it, other than it only has 12 grams of protein. For me, I have a really high protein diet, so it takes up a lot of my other fat and carb macros without benefiting me in the protein department. So it is chocolate covered. It looks delicious. It smells really good. It smells like chocolate and peanut butter, which is always good. They do have a little bit of the protein texture. I will say with the Salty-licious, when I ate that, it's plant-based, and so anything plant-based has an earthy flavor to it. If you've ate anything plant-based, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's an acquired taste. If you don't mind it, it's a really good bar. But if you're looking for more of a plant-based bar, then this is a perfect one, and I would definitely recommend this one. Okay, I have 3 more here. This one is Built Bar. This one is becoming pretty popular pretty quickly, but it is rather new. And I have tried a few flavors. This is my favorite. This is coconut almond. It reminds me of an Almond Joy. It has really good texture. This one is, if you don't like a protein bar texture, this is the bar for you because it doesn't have that weird texture. It has the texture of like a candy bar. It's really soft and kind of chewy on the inside, and then the outside has got that crunchy-ish chocolate that covers it up. So this one, the macros are really good. Fats are only at 5, so for me, when I have a lower fat diet, so this is perfect for me. Carbs are 16, so not a lot there. And then their protein, and this one is 18. So they're all a little bit different. Some of them are as low as 15. This one is 18. Peanut butter is 20. This does have 3 grams of sugar, and then all the sugars are added sugars. So just know that when you're eating it, that you're consuming added sugars, not artificial sugars. And it has 7 grams of protein, which is perfect. These don't upset my stomach at all. And I will open it up so you can see the different texture in these. And it's like a dark chocolate, which I love dark chocolate. So there, and you can kind of see it is definitely like a softer texture in there. They are chewy too. I do recommend putting them in the fridge. They're much better when they're just a little bit colder than when they're soft. And I have heard a lot of people think that too. Okay, another one that I have is the First Form Level 1 bar. I don't eat these. I am not a fan of these ingredients, but I just want to show you, just like another option. These have a good amount of protein at 20 grams. There's 19 carbs and 13 fats. Not horrible by any means. It is a little more macro dense bar. This ingredient label is pretty long. I don't love it. And then I also want to like pay attention to, so the protein is a protein blend. Nothing wrong with that. Most of them have a protein blend. But the second ingredient is vegetable oil. I don't want to eat just like vegetable oil. If you're gonna give me a fat, give me some peanut butter or some almond butter or something like that. But it is like a candy bar, and that's the inside. This one's double chocolate. So, tastes good. I just don't love all the artificial ingredients. It also causes a little bit of GI upset because it's so heavy. Okay, last one here. This one is a little newer too. It's called the Outright Bar. This is my favorite flavor. This is peanut butter toffee. This is so good. Like, the taste of this bar is so good. However, the macros aren't great for me, but they might be pretty good for you. So fat comes in at 16. That's high for me. Carbs are at 23 and protein is at 17. So definitely it would be more of a treat for me. If I were to have this bar, I really need to strategically plan the rest of my day because I will easily run out of fats when I'm trying to eat the rest of the day. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. But if you have more of a high fat diet, then these would be perfect. These also have very few ingredients in them. I think it's around 9. And the first ingredient is peanut butter. Like, hello, thank you, peanut butter. It smells amazing. And the texture is unlike other protein bars too. It's softer, it's chewier, it's kind of like a cookie, but more of like an artificially flavored cookie, not like grandma's cookies, but like a cookie you would get out of a box or something like that. That's nice and soft. But these are definitely different than the other protein bars. So they taste really good. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about these guys was the sugars. So like I said, it is a little more of a dense macro for what you're getting out of it. This one has 20 grams of sugars and 20 added sugars. So it's all added sugars in from sources. It would be like actual sugar, or let's see if we can find out where this is coming from. Molasses. So molasses and honey. They're not terrible sources of sugar by any means. They're naturally occurring sugars, but they are added in, so then they're considered an added sugar. So keep that in mind. Definitely, though, if I want to like have something sweet and kind of, you know, decadent and it feels yummy, but I'm still getting a little bit of protein, this is definitely a bar that I would choose. So I hope that this review was super helpful for you. Remember, when you're looking for a protein bar, to look for something that has a good balance in macros, it fits for you, and that the ingredient list is smaller. Pay attention to the sugars and the fibers. You want to have them close together. The higher the sugars are, the higher the fiber should be, and vice versa. And let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks, guys.